Thank you so much, and I'll stand up for a second. I'm honored to have some of my fellow hoteliers here. Welcome to Two Bunch and to Desert Hot Springs. Hopefully we'll help round out some of the information you've already received about our wonderful city. We have an amazing city. We have a great community spirit within our town, and I'm honored to be part of it. As it turns out, 14 years ago we moved here, and well, one thing led to another, and here we are today still.
Amen.
Thanks. So, the inside story. What is this all about? But before I get too far involved in things, I want to dedicate my presentation to Jack Webb. And we all know Grandpa Jack is his grandson and granddaughter-in-law. I guess that would work. How special he was to them, and how special over the years he was to our town. World War II veteran, college graduate, teacher, poultry business owner, restaurant business owner, hotel spa. He owned the spa that I bought. And so I have a great kinship with that. He was a real estate broker, a Rotarian for 40 years, director for the Mission Springs Water District Board of Directors. Again, I feel like I'm following in Jack's shoes. And a philanthropist, and lastly, and more importantly, a wonderful human being. And I think we all can agree that his grandson Ivan is following in his footsteps. Here's a postcard. He gave this one to me. He goes, you know, I used to own the Kismet Lodge. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. So this postcard, you notice the palm trees here, how tall they are. And I have some other postcards later on I'm going to show you. But in the back of it, your host, Barbara and Jack Webb. And I like their description. Our own our own natural hot mineral water well, enclosed hydrojet therapy pool, heated outdoor pool, sauna room, shuffleboard, which I did remove that, horseshoes, I don't know where, color TV, electric kitchens, gas barbecue, air conditioning, the friendly place to stay in Desert Hot Springs. And they owned the Kismet Lodge in the 70s, to best of my knowledge. Here's Jack and Barbara. I asked Ivan for some pictures that could illustrate them from when they owned the Kismet. You can see the rooms behind. They had a wedding there. Here's the Kismet sign that still glows to this very day. I had it restored when we bought the place back in '04. And this is what it looked like back then. And now these palm trees, what are they here, about 15 feet? They're double that now. They're about 35 feet. Anyway, we lost a good one. And we should all be like Jack. A spa. We're going to talk about those tonight. The word comes from a city of Belgium as a famed site of healing hot springs. Spa, Belgium has been frequented as a watering place since as early as the 14th century. Its name has become used as a place, or any place, mineral water is found and used in physical therapy. There's also another possibility, albeit probably not as close, but I kind of like it, so I'm throwing it up there anyway. And Salud per Aqua, or SPA, translated health through water. Now tonight, I'm going to use the word spa and hotel interchangeably in this presentation. Also, as I'm going to share with you some top secret insider information. So do you promise not to tell? Say yes. Yes. Okay. The spas of Desert Hot Springs exist because of love, passion, and grit. And that is from the very beginning until today. I've identified 5 phases of history regarding our spas. From the 1900s to 32, the discovery of the water, both cold and hot. From 32 to 48, the founding of Desert Hot Springs. From 49 to 70, California's spa city develops. From 71 to 96, the spas mature, and from 97 to present, the spas revive. We can start with phase one, and I realize that for a lot of you who have been in town for a long time, this part, don't fall asleep, but you probably already know it. Water in the desert equals life in the desert, and we had some homesteaders. The very first one that we are aware of is a gal by the name of Hilda Gray, who homesteaded near what is currently now Two Bunch Palms. In 1913, Cabot Yerxa he came out here to homestead. He walked to Garnet to get water, and that's Cabot with Merry Christmas, and I think that's Hilda Gray's burrow as well. This was his first eagle's nest over on the Miracle Hill area, and actually he was the one who named it. He dug for water, hit both the hot and cold aquifers, and he named it Miracle Hill because they didn't understand the earthquake faults that create the water and the aquifers here in the valley. And here's a picture of that. We have the hot water aquifer is called the Desert Hot Springs Aquifer. And this earthquake fault, the Mission Creek Fault, is it's a northernmost branch of the San Andreas that splits into three faults down by the Salton Sea. And if you're on this side, you have hot water. If you're over here, you have cold water. It's very interesting, and this is a definite demarcation. Now here's a little bit of insider information you may not have heard. Back in '58, the spa owners created this particular group called the DHS Spa Tel Organization. Now you say, why would they do that? Well, it's because they wanted to differentiate between the spas pumping from the hot water aquifer and those that do not. Do I hear a gasp? Thank you. And back in the day, and I can tell you, I'm kind of proud that we have our own private hot water well. Water comes out of my well at 105 degrees. And we pump 18 hours a day, 20 gallons a minute. That's a lot of water, and it costs a lot of money. There are spas that are on the other side of the aquifer that have, they may have warm water, maybe 90 degrees, but it's not hot water. And there was a whole discussion and debate about this. And I don't frankly care personally, but I'm proud that we actually have a hot water well. So we know the story that in 1918, Cabot went to the Army. He left the Army in 19. He settled down in Fertula, California. He operated a grocery store, was postmaster. In 25, he returned to Europe to travel and study art for 1 year. And if you go to the museum, you can see the wonderful pieces of art that he has had drawn. Quite a talented guy. On his return to the States, he settled in Moore Park. He operated a grocery store until he finally returned to the desert in '37. Now we get to phase two, the founding of the town. And when you've got water, you can build a city. And so in '32, a developer from downtown Los Angeles, L.W. Coffey, who is 56 years old. Now I want you to hang on to the ages that I'm going to be sharing with you, because I'm going to make a point in a few moments. He happens to meet Cabot Yerxa, who at the time had left the desert and had a grocery store in Moore Park. He learns of the hot water in the area and decides that this would be a great place to where Cabot had homesteaded, and it would be a great place to build a town focused on health. So Cabot introduces Coffey to L.G. Anderson, whom Coffey comes to the desert to meet. And in 1932, for the next 3 or 4 weeks, Anderson becomes helpful to Cabot in visioning with Coffey, I should say, over the future of this part of the desert. Now what's interesting, Coffey returns to LA to set up a trust because most of the land out here is owned by the homesteaders. So they had to go through a lot of legal concerns in order to get these things going to set up a town. And in '33, Coffey drills for water. He leases a small drilling rig and hires Earl Howard. And drilling proceeded from early May to late June, and the water in the well had a temperature of 140 degrees. At that point, Coffey sold 14 one-acre lots. Now in 33, Coffey at age 57 built his original bathhouse. Now this is not to be confused with his first spa. The bathhouse I have not found any pictures of, but it was a very crude and small place. He actually says in his little pamphlet, Why DHS? We then installed the electric light plant operated with an old Studebaker engine which supplied lights for the bathhouse and the adobe. This plant furnished us about 12 lights, which was hardly enough. And then Coffey adds a butane gas range and begins serving meals. He applies for a beer and wine license, which according to him was not hard to get at that time. Now the weekend crowds often sleep in their cars because at this point there were no rooms. So he starts to build his spa now, a real building. Foundation is laid. He is 65 years old in 1941. He opened for business in July of 41, and don't forget, this is during the war. And this was when materials were hard to come by and the whole nation was preoccupied with World War II. At age 71, a fire destroyed the first Coffeys. Now, I don't know about you, but we have this pain of all the fires and all the huge loss that our town, being founded on water, had its first spa go up. Horrible. And Coffey was 71. You're going to retire, LW. He says, no way. I'm going to rebuild it bigger and better at age 72. And then finally, 34 years after he passes away, it was torn down. And I have a little short clip that I'm not sharing with this, but just letting you know bulldozers took days because the second Coffey's was made out of concrete and block instead of wood. Now let me give you some insider information. Coffey demonstrated the grit needed to run a mineral water spa, or for that matter, any little business. The same grit is required today or you won't make it. So those of you who are in the spa business, you know what I'm talking about. Amen. If you're, yeah, amen. And if you like to own a spa, you could do that. Here's Coffey's first spa, 1941. It was a wood structure. This is the one that caught fire. Isn't that beautiful? It's fantastic. Great angle here. And what I want you to notice as I go through some of these pictures, what's around the other buildings rather? Nothing. Okay? So his spa burns up and he rebuilds. This is the one that lasted until 91. There's a wonderful aerial shot of that. This is 8th and Palm. Here's Palm, here's 8th, and nothing around it. Another angle that I was able to get off of a publication. And then there it must be wintertime, huh? Because San Jacinto is full of snow. And look behind it. Not a whole lot. And some pictures from the inside. It was very clinical in the 1952 era. Now we come to the next phase. The next aspect of it. The spa city develops. L.W. Coffey runs this advertisement. For as low as $29.50 per month after small down payment, you can get a motel lot and build your own spas. And so Coffey started marketing things, and at one time there were over 120 facilities built in Desert Hot Springs, and the city incorporated in '63. Here's a list of all the spas that I've been able to identify, or lodging facilities that have been in this town. And we wonder why it was called Spa City. No need to wonder now. By the way, the last one was where Furby, what he owned at the Willets. So now, each of these new spas that were created have their own character, their own personality, their charm, and the majority of them had a hot water well with varying temps. What does our water consist of? It's a good point to bring in right here. You can see this listing. Two things I've highlighted for you that I think are significant by today's standards. Lithium, there's a little trace of lithium in our water. And the pH is higher than normal. It's 8.3, sometimes about as high as 8.5. We'll come back to these in a minute. So here's some of the spas that were built in that phase of development. Blue Water Manor on 8th Street. Cactus Lambda Lodge Spatel on Calle Azteca. Cactus Springs Lodge. Notice the background.
Which is now.
It still is.
I'll be talking about what's coming up. Some of these are new, have been revived, and I'm going to get to that. Thanks, honey. But notice the background. Nothing there. The Caravan Motel on 4th Street. Again, look at nothing there. Classic cars, too. Wouldn't you like to have that guy right there? Nothing in the background. And this is over on 4th. David Spa on Palm Drive. That one is still there, but you can see behind things, not a whole lot going on. The Mahaya Lodge on Calle Las Tiendas, that's up in the east end of town where we're at. Again, look at the hills, not a whole lot going on. The Kismet Lodge. Notice, remember those palm trees I showed you earlier with Jack Webb? Here they are about 6 feet tall, and as I said, now they're about 35 feet tall. Notice what's in the background. Nothing. Yeah, that was Photoshop back in the day, I think, because we don't have grass over here. And I believe this one here would be what was Monte Carlo, then it became the Beat Hotel, then it became the Dog Spa, and now it's Desert Hot Springs Inn, right here. Rocks Lodge on 6th Street. These are all postcards from eBay. The Smile Inn on 6th Street. Look at those cool cars. The Moors on Raposo Way. We'll come back to the Moors. It became the Spring. I'll show you in a bit. The Pan Pan. This sits right above the Kismet on Calle Azteca. Again, look at nothing in the background. The Waldorf Health Resort on Mesquite. Now it's a assisted living facility. And did you know that we had a branded hotel in this town?
Wow.
A Best Western. This was the Ponce de Leon. It's currently now the Hyundai. It's the one that has all the rocks in front of it today. But this was the only that I could determine branded hotel, or as they call in the industry, a flagged hotel. So now we come to the phase 4, the spas matured from 71 to 96. Now, during this time, many things happened. The over 120 lodging facilities started to decline. The spas that continued struggled. And by the way, as an aside, I've tried to figure out why, and I think it's because the value of mineral water declined. And many of the spas that were there couldn't last, and they were turned into small apartments. Even the original Coffees was torn down in '91 during this period. And the current health and wellness emphasis just did not exist. And the city developed all around the spas. We'll have people show up at Living Waters and they say, "You're in the middle of the neighborhood." And I go, "Well, we were here first." And that's not a bad thing for the houses to be around, but it's just how the city developed. So now, over on 1st Street, there was a place called Sukasa. What happened to it? Well, this is what it turned into. Just a maybe small apartment complex. The Trade Winds on Sunset. Again, another picture of it. Those people are, they're just relaxing in the mineral water. Now look at it. We have the Two Bunch Palms, a Valley Vista Motel. Have you ever seen it? You haven't, because it doesn't exist. Burwood Lodge on Calle Amapolo. Pretty place, you can see brand new because the palm trees, look at nothing in the background. It became Sun Villa Spa. Look at that sign, Sun Villa Spa, Desert Hot Springs. What is it now? Well, it's apartments. Coachella Valley Apartments on 4th Street. Remember, that's up by where Cabot's would, or Coffee's would have been, so they would provide lodging for people that wanted to go to Coffee Spa. It isn't there either. Now, what's this insider information? As you drive around town, when you see an older, run-down apartment complex, more than likely, it was built as a spa back in the day with its own well. For instance, the Pan Pan that's just north of mine right now is Calle Azteca Apartments. They have a hot water well, but what is it run as? It's run as apartments. Do you have the grit to revive a spa? It can be done. It went for sale, the Pan Pan, or Calle Azteca Apartments, about 5 years ago, and it sold for only $300,000. Now you have probably about double that of deferred maintenance, but it has a well, and it has the water. So now we come to the final phase. From 97 to present, the spa's revived. Thanks to the internet and the growing awareness of health and wellness, a revival was possible for the mineral water spas. Yet it still takes the love, passion, and grit like that of LW Coffee, and a little money too. So here's the Highlander Lodge. Look at it. It's up on Club Circle. Back in the day, there's nothing in the background. It's now Tuscan Springs, a beautiful facility with great pools and great views. Cactus Springs is now Hope Springs. Beautiful mid-century modern building up on Club Circle. Miracle Manor, now Miracle Manor, same name, but completely revived. Mona Lisa, notice, nothing around it. It's now Sagewater. #1 on TripAdvisor for our town, by the way, right now, Sagewater. Beautiful mid-century modern, great decor that the girls that own it have done. The Moors, look at nothing around the Moors. Back in the day, kind of a mess, and it's now the Spring with a beautiful front door. They are probably the busiest small hotel in town. And then there's my little place, the Kismet Lodge. Notice nothing in the background, small palm trees. And that's back in the day. We didn't have notice here they had a little shelter around the spa. Here there was no shelter. You can tell this is an older picture because the palm trees have gotten bigger down in the bottom picture. And here's the Pan Pan in the background. That was their little sign. Here's what it was like when I bought it. Isn't that yummy? Let's go. Let's go in the water. Rumor has it, and I haven't yet substantiated it, but I think it's valid, that the walls of my place had different colors because a movie, and we don't know if it was high school or college kids, paid the then owner, I don't know, I think they said, we'll paint your place if you let us film here. So they painted these multicolored walls. And if anybody knows or if anybody hears about an old movie being filmed in Desert Hot Springs at the Kismet Lodge, I'd like to know about it. But anyway, that's the yumminess of what we found. And now here we are. The palm trees are larger. We have cleaned it up just a little bit. As Audrey said, I didn't know you were going to give me that introduction. Where's Audrey?
I'm here.
Oh, you're over there. We've been fortunate. The harder we work, the luckier we get. We've been featured by many people over the 14 years. So here's our spot now. Look at those palm trees. You can't even see how tall they are. And yes, those are naked people, but you can't see anything. We participated in the American Association for Nude Recreation Skinny Dip Day. More of the big palm trees and sort of the cool views from our place. So now, what makes the spas at Desert Hot Springs unique today? Well, we offer a very personalized experience. When you own a place, you get to interface and get to know your guests. And, you know, Two Bunch isn't the only place that gets famous people, let me tell you. Our little hideouts, and I can't confirm nor deny, but when the Obamas come to town, but seriously, we all, the little spas, because we're so private and we're so insulated from the outside world, we have attracted some very cool people. They become, like in Judy and I's case, very good friends. Many of our small spas offer a free afternoon social hour where we sit in the water with our guests and enjoy wine and cheese. And we get to care for and minister, serve our guests. And I like to joke, it's the largest congregation I've ever had. We've had over 12,000 souls through our doors, not counting repeats. And often, and I don't want to get too goofy on you, but awareness happens in the lives of people. And they'll have aha moments where they'll come off a massage table and they'll say, I now know what I have to do. And we haven't said a word. We have a gal here who has a testimony about soaking in our lithium waters. I've posted before about my struggles with psoriatic arthritis and psoriasis and my continuous hunt for effective, non-life-threatening, and cost-effective remedies. My skin, my joints, my brain function always improve when I soak in the mineral waters with an elevated level of natural lithium. Although there are fewer studies that I would like, they indicate similar findings. But this last experience was remarkable. Sometimes the arthritis attacks my fingers under my nails, and this causes swelling, resulting in acute pain that feels like a splinter under the nail. Yes, ouch. When it hit the last time, I tried different things and soaked it in Epsom waters and spas, and nothing was helping much, until I got to Living Waters Clothing Optional Spa in Desert Hot Springs. Within 30 minutes of entering the warm pools, my pain was gone. It did return after 4 to 5 hours of being out of the water, but it was less acute. After 5 days of soaking, it was pretty much gone except for touch tenderness. This wasn't the first time I'd experienced this, but it was more profound and obvious relief. I can't help but wonder why it hasn't been studied more. So much of the research I've seen thus far is incredibly promising. Now, before I go to this slide, and I forgot I should not have clicked it. We know that back in the day, a lot of the mineral water spas sold the water for many reasons, or they sold the public on, you come, you're going to get cured. But the lithium and the high pH do have scientific nexus today, especially the higher pH, for boosting the immune system. And these are things that matter. And anecdotally, I just shared that a case with you. We've had numerous people come with psoriasis. And after 4 or 5 days, their psoriasis clears up. It's pretty amazing. All right, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm going to ask the ladies, could I have a show of hands if you are a breast cancer survivor? Raise your hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyone else? 1 in 8 or 1 in 9, depending on where you're at in this country. This is my honey. 38 years old. We were going to move to Monterey, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And of course, that's her today. We share life at our small boutique spas. Back in 2002, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. 92. Thank you. That is a typo right there. 92. That medical crisis changed our lives, friends. It changed our lives. I'll be glad to tell you the story anytime you want to know. But Judy's been able to share that and her story with over 12,000 visitors to our spa. And yes, because we're clothing optional, they can actually see what Reconstruction's all about. You know, there's no shame in body acceptance. The shame is not accepting the body. She has been able to provide support and counsel to other women who have been diagnosed. She's gone through it with them, and we sadly have gone through people that have passed away. Here's the inside story of all the power of our spas. People come from all over the country, and it creates something called revenue for our city. Tourists pay a 12% transient occupancy tax. This year, that translates to about 1.6 million. It goes straight to the city coffers. Then there's what I call the TTDI, the tourist trickle-down impact of this money. Most of the industry analysts put the impact at close to $1 for dollar. In other words, my weekend rate for a room is $189. More than likely, they're going to go out and they're going to spend money on goods and services. Maybe they'll buy things, or they're vacationing. That's what you do. Think of the last time you went away and you spent money. And then $99 for food. It really maps. We were just in Newport Beach for a few days, and I did the math every day. It was about 1 for 1. At our spa, and I'm pretty sure this is true with all the boutique spas in our town, we try to keep people in DHS. So in addition to the TOT that they pay, each spa hotel has to hire employees. Each employee has expenses, pays taxes, and if they live in DHS, the city benefits. And the hotel spa guests cause the hotels to have more utility costs. And yes, DHS has a utility tax. By the way, yes on B and C. Not to get political, but this is more than political. This is the life of our town.
We have signs available.
Yeah, signs are available.
Get a big one.
Yes. And this utility tax is boosted by the presence of tourists. You know, if nobody's at the spa, then my utility rates are low. But if somebody's at my spa, my rates are up, and guess what? The utility tax is up. And guess what? We pay it. Both the hotels and businesses and other businesses at DHS. Okay, now what's more insider information to this? Yes, tourists do not share the same view of Desert Hot Springs as the people of the Coachella Valley. You know, if you tell somebody you're from Desert Hot Springs, oh, Desperate Hot Springs. Of course, now it could be, oh, Desert Hot Springs. But,
a little bit better.
But that would be a little better. But the tourists don't share this view. They don't. They're flying in from all over the place, staying at our spas, and they associate the whole valley with the term Palm Springs. But it's true.
I know, it's true.
And we have to embrace it. Our mineral water spas present the city in a positive way. We are a funky little desert town that has not been all LA-ified like Palm Springs. Never looked like that. We are who we are. We're proud. I'm damn proud of it. When I got elected to the Water District Board, and then we hit that great water shortage, crisis, our little district, we could hold our head high that we didn't have all this turf everywhere. That we had this, we're just still a funky little desert town. And we can have great pride in what we are, the desertscape and natural desertscape. And our hotels demonstrate that DHS is a great place to be. When people check into my hotel, I like to tell them, welcome to Living Water Spa. And here's a map of our town. Here's our favorite restaurants listed. And by the way, we're just a funky little desert town. We haven't been all LA-ified like Palm Springs. And then I flip the map over, and there's the whole valley. I said, I would go to where all the tourism stuff is. Here's Palm Springs. But if you want good food, great portions, great prices, right here in our town, you're going to find it. And by the way, the whole valley is known for tourism. Therefore, leave nothing valuable visible in your car so that it's safe in your room, so wherever you travel in the Coachella Valley, it's safe here. I don't say a bad word. I don't say anything but the facts. Here we are, a wonderful little cool desert town. Now, as As we get towards the end of my little presentation here, I thought it would be fun to show you that we had some of our spas in the movies or on TV. So you could get Audrey's book, Celebrities in Hiding, and you can learn tons about things. But some of the big movies, The Three Women by Robert Altman from 1977, it showed Coffee Spa. Then The Player, again by Robert Altman, he had this thing about desert hot springs in 1992. Showed Two Bunch Palms. Then there was a cool TV series. Did you ever hear of this? Hot Springs Hotel. It was a late night Showtime affair from 97. Now everybody gets it when I say that. From 97 to 98. And it featured Miracle Springs. But it wasn't Miracle Springs yet. The Bigfords hadn't acquired it yet. And it was in that period right before. So now, here's some pictures of stills from Robert Altman's Three Women. This is inside of Coffee's, and there's Sissy Spacek and Duvall. What's her first name? Yeah, thank you. Shelley Duvall. Check it out. You got a very concrete, this was a sturdily built place. That's why it took so long to tear down. And their pools were very, very clinical. Coffee believed that the water had health properties, and I believe it does too. And so they had people, they would walk them in the water, and of course, at least in the movie they did. People hanging out. Again, very clinical. And some have said that when Desert Hot Springs Spa, which is just north of what was Coffee's, when it was built, it was hip, happening, mid-century modern style, and it just, and it had rooms, because Coffee's had no rooms. It was the death knell for Coffee Spa. There they are walking down. Look at these interesting little bathtubby areas. And there she is. I don't know if I'd want her working on me. There's just a look of mischievousness there. So here's a clip from The Player.
Well, that's all right. Anyway, I got a better one. Do you like the desert?
I've never been to the desert.
Never been to the desert?
No.
I know this great hideaway in Desert Hot Springs. We'll go there. It's a 2-hour drive. I know the people will call ahead.
We hiding.
Yeah. We're hiding. We're hiding from everybody. You'll like it there. It'll remind you of Iceland.
Evening, Mr. M. Road checked in, Caponeville. You know where it is.
Yep. Thanks,
one.
Walter.
Sir?
A couple of Banning Springs water, please.
Right away, Mr. Grant.
Do places like this really exist?
Only in the movies.
Eu queria ser feliz, mas não é feliz o sonhador.
So that was The Player, and I don't know if you saw where they were driving up to what they were trying to purport was Two Bunch. No, it wasn't Two Bunch. More than likely it's Thousand Palms Oasis, but we're not quite sure. But nonetheless, that was Two Bunch, and I think it was pretty dang cool. Now, just a preference, fast forward to the late 90s, and you got Hot Springs Hotel, Saturday night or Friday night Showtime.
Randy and themselves. Telegram said Aunt Betty's dead. Come run the hotel, Hot Springs Hotel. Randy's kinda horny, always being naughty. Cat's on his tail. Lacey's going crazy, feels always lazy at Hot Springs Hotel. Hot Springs Hotel. You'll never want to check out once you're there. The girls are hot and crazy and practically bare. Hot Springs Hotel. Hot Springs Hotel.
Can it be any cheesier? I don't think so. And what's interesting, for research purposes, I had to get the DVD set, of course. But what's...
Can we borrow it?
Can you borrow it? Are you old enough?
We'll rent it.
Yeah, right.
Internet.
Is it on Netflix?
No, it is not on Netflix. Wait a minute, I haven't looked. What's interesting, the premise is that Aunt Betty dies and the two kids inherit the hotel. And you could see there was a starkness about the hotel, and it just very interesting. Short-lived, 1 year, 1 season. I wonder why it was canceled. Okay, we're all done. Things to ponder from this presentation. I'd like to leave you with some thoughts. 1, it was L.W. Coffee and his spa that created this town. Cabot discovered the hot water. Coffee built the town. 2, it is the spas of Desert Hot Springs that have sustained Desert Hot Springs over the decades. With their TOT, with the tourists that come, it has been the constant. But there is more. Spa ownership is not for the faint of heart. You know, Coffee lost his spa on fire. He rebuilt it bigger, better than ever. Today, the challenges of the hoteliers are as follows. The internet is the source for our business, but it's also the source of criticism. TripAdvisor, Yelp, the reviews can be brutal. Sometimes we deserve it. Other times we go, they were never at our place. Why are they saying what they're saying? So you have the good, you have the bad, but we have to face it. But it's not for the faint of heart. Not at all. You can ask Judy if I'm telling the truth. I'll get all panicky because no, the phone is not ringing. No one's booking. And then a couple days pass, the phone's ringing off the hook. Man, I'm so busy, dang it. Feast or famine. Also, we should not take our water nor its history for granted. One of the reasons I ran for the Water District Board back in 09, 08 is that I wanted to help the district get more sewers in. And right now we're approaching 75% of our town are on sewers. And you know, sometimes we don't need sewers. Yeah, we need sewers. We have to protect our groundwater. Without the groundwater, we're stuck. Lastly, do it now. Follow your dreams. This life is not a dress rehearsal. It's been said you only live once, but it could be better phrased, you only die once. You live every day. So my suggestion to you is make the most of your day. And yes, join the Historical Society. It helps preserve the history and document our history. And our website is DHSHistoricalSociety.com.